He slipped in quietly, entering the celebration unseen. And then, in the heart of the temple, surrounded by those who sought his life, he cried out. In Greek, the word John uses is ekrazen, a public cry, a torn shout, impossible to ignore. Why would a man who hides choose to shout? The festival was the Feast of Tabernacles, in Hebrew, Sukkot, the grandest celebration in the Jewish calendar, 7 days when people set up straw huts around Jerusalem. It was a festival of remembrance. The people recalled the 40 years in the desert when they had no roofs, when their only shelter was God's presence. Fragile huts, roofs that let the starlight through. The fragility was the point. And it was during this festival, the festival of acknowledged fragility, that Jesus entered secretly. Hidden from whom? John is precise. The Jews sought to kill him. The temple authorities, the very ones managing the festival. Jesus entered the celebration organized by those plotting his death. If this way of delving into Scripture brings clarity to you, keep this video. On days when reading feels dry, it will be here, waiting. And here enters a voice that seems to describe this scene centuries before it happened. The Book of Wisdom records the reasoning of the wicked. It sounds like minutes from a meeting. Let us lay traps for the righteous, for his presence is a burden to us. Notice, a burden. His very existence was the issue. He didn't need to accuse anyone. Just being there was enough. He claims to possess the knowledge of God and calls himself the child of God. He has become a reproach to our thoughts, and merely seeing him is unbearable. Just seeing him. The presence of the righteous acts like a mirror, and those who cannot bear their own reflection want to break the mirror. The plan continues. Let us test him with insults and tortures to see his composure. And then wisdom reveals what changes everything. Malice blinds them. They look at the righteous and see a threat. They look at the child of God and see a problem to solve. They know the facts, the city, the family, the trade, yet still they do not see. This informed blindness, knowing everything yet seeing nothing, is exactly what happens in the temple. Some residents of Jerusalem recognize Jesus. They say, "Is this not the one they seek to kill? Behold, he speaks openly, and they say nothing to him." And then comes the statement that reveals everything. But this man, we know where he is from. When the Christ comes, no one will know where he is from. They dismissed Jesus because they knew too much. They knew the city. They knew the region. They knew the Galilean accent. And so they concluded, it is impossible for him to be the Messiah. The Messiah would come from mystery. This one came from Nazareth. I want to hear your thoughts on this. In what area of your life do you have all the facts about God, know the verses, repeat the doctrines, but maybe you still don't know God? Because having someone's address and knowing the person are worlds apart. Jerusalem had the address. They had no idea who stood before them. And it is at this moment that Jesus cries out, ekrazen. John chooses this word carefully. Jesus doesn't engage in conversation. He doesn't debate. He raises his voice in the temple, the most sacred space, during the most significant festival, and says, You know me, and you know where I am from. It seems like agreement. It seems like he is saying, yes, you know. But the next sentence changes everything. I have not come on my own, but he who sent me is true. You do not know him. You know where I came from geographically. You do not know where I truly come from. You know Nazareth. You do not know the Father. Jesus' cry in the temple is a declaration of origin, an origin that the entire city, with all its data, all its certainties, cannot grasp. Jesus hid to enter, and he shouted after arriving. Concealment was prudence. The time had not yet come. But shouting was mission. True faith leaves a mark. He did not come to be protected by anonymity. He came to be heard at the very center of the power that sought to silence him. So they wanted to seize him, but no one laid a hand on him because his time had not yet come. The time. John mentions this time repeatedly in the Gospel. It's the time of the cross. The time when the hidden will be exposed, the shout will be silence, and the temple will tear its own curtains. That time has not yet arrived, and until it does, no one touches him. No plot succeeds. No hand reaches him. But is there protection for those who walk amid danger? Psalm 33 knows this answer. He is close to the brokenhearted and saves those crushed in spirit. He guards all his bones. Not one of them will be broken. No bone broken. John will remember this later when he records that on the cross, the soldiers did not break Jesus' legs. The psalm already knew. If this way of connecting texts makes sense to you, if you realize that here we do not simplify, we dig deeply, this channel exists for that. It's part of this journey. Jerusalem looked at Jesus and saw a Galilean. The wicked in the Book of Wisdom looked at the righteous and saw a nuisance. He entered hidden. He shouted in the temple, and no one could touch him. True faith leaves a mark. Each video here is a step in a longer journey. The next one is already waiting on your screen. Continue